Hey, Natasha.
Hey, Claire.
It's been a while,
It
um,
has.
and we've left everybody in suspense about the end of your cat story. So I
Yes.
am dying to know what happened. The last time we talked about this cat, you said that your husband had just asked you if you wanted to keep it, I think is what it
hmm
was.
And I said, what cat are you talking
Mhm.
about?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So,
in summary, there was a cat that ended up in our tire well of our car, which my husband drove to a car wash. The cat was totally fine. We got it back in the car and brought it back and had no idea whose cat this was, had been at our house for many days. So then he left me with, should we keep the cat? Is this now our cat? And Claire, the cat lady, told me that the cat finds you. You don't like that title?
don't label me that way. I only have 2 cats. I don't
I
know
know.
why people think that if you have more than 1 cat, you're a cat lady. If you have,
I'm
like,
sorry.
5 dogs, that doesn't make you weird,
That is
right?
a good point. Yeah,
Right? Okay, so I'm
that's true.
allowed to have 2 cats, and you're allowed
You
to
are.
have a random cat that's adopted you. So what it tell me about this cat. What's its name?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here's the update. So the cat was a little crazy, as many cats are, but it was just so skittish that we couldn't get it out from under. So it was in the car and it got under the passenger seat. It would not come out. And so we would bribe it with some food and it would just like run out, grab food, come back. Like it just, I have 2 kids. We're like, I don't know about keeping this cat, right? It just didn't seem very safe. So we called the local animal shelter and just asked like, can y'all come and look at this cat? Does it have a microchip? Just to see if it maybe was something we should keep or, get some more information. Well, they come out, and what's funny is the person they sent was terrified of the cat. So I don't know how she got this job, and maybe this is a matter of being overly confident on her job application. But she was
Mhm.
like, I don't know how to get the cat, and just did not seem prepared at all for the situation. So we helped her get the cat and we secured it. And then we were like, can you check for a microchip? And so she did. And she was like, yes, it has one. And I have found the information for the owners. And we're like, great. So she ends up leaving and we're like, yay, happy ending, right? The cat will be returned to its owners. 5 minutes later, we have a knock on the door and this woman is back. And she was like, have you happened to go to Nacogdoches recently? And we were like, what? So Nacogdoches
Nacogdoches.
is like 150 miles away from where I live, which is called Station. And she said, that is where this cat is from. And the owners are accusing you of stealing their cat. And so they would like to know, like, what happened. It was basically an interrogation now of how dare you take our cat? There's no way it could have made it from 150 miles away. And we're just like, first of all, why would we call you and then be like, hey, there's a cat that is your cat? It was ridiculous. But this is a traveling cat. And so it just must have gotten on some truck. I don't know how it ended up in College Station. And then it again took another journey in our car. So I expect in about a month or two, the cat will be back. I don't know, but it has been returned to its home. And that is where the story ends for now.
How did they get it back to Nacogdoches? Did the owner come and get it?
They there's some like courier system where they could get it
No
to
way.
them. Yeah.
Cat courier.
Yeah.
That will be my retirement job.
As it should be.
Uh,
You're just confirming your cat lady
I
identity
did.
now.
It just seems low stress, and I like to travel. So,
So
wow, okay.
unfortunately, I don't know the name of the cat. I do not have a cat right now. And what's funny about this podcast is I had no idea that a clip of the last podcast was on social media. And so then I get a text from a friend and was like, hey, how's the cat doing? What's the cat's name? And there had been 2 weeks since the situation happened. And I was like, what
Oh.
cat? What are you talking about? And they were like, are you serious? Like, are you messing with me? Like the cat. And I was like, what cat? So it caused so much chaos in my life because I was so confused and then realized it was the podcast that they were referring to. So right now there is no cat, but who knows?
Well, unfortunately, I would just say everybody who's listening, if you have a cat, you know our P.O. box, except that P.O. box is not in College Station, so that would not be helpful in getting you a cat. So don't send a cat to our P.O. box. But if you happen to find this cat, I think it needs to have an air tag on it because I want to see its travels.
Travels. It would be
Mhm.
very entertaining. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that. That was a roller coaster story. And I actually have another question for you, Natasha,
Oh
that
no.
I've been debating asking you because we've been friends for 20 years now.
Something like
And
that. Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. Oh my gosh.
almost exactly, actually.
Yeah.
20 years since we met as freshmen going into A&M. And there's a question that we have not discussed. And I feel like it's important for us to discuss on microphones
Mhm.
because of the weightiness of this question.
You wanted this on record is what you're saying.
Yes, uh, because it's something that comes up in my classroom a lot, and I feel like I need more help figuring out how to answer it. And it
Okay.
would take our friendship to the next level.
I can't
Are
wait.
you are you ready?
I'm ready.
Um, how do you feel or what do you believe about aliens?
Like, do aliens exist?
Yes.
Hmm. That is a question that I also got asked a lot by my students, and we had a whole, like, project around, are aliens real, and, like, what is the evidence of life?
Uh-huh.
So, let me turn it on you here, because this is what I did with my students is, what is an alien? And then how do we define life on another planet? Is it someone with 2 eyes and a brain, right? Or is it like a bacteria? Do we count that as an alien? Does it have to have a mind? I don't know. So that's my question back to you. How do we define alien life?
That is a great way to approach it. So, I ask you this kind of in jest, but also we've never discussed this before, and I feel like we should because it was mentioned in a course that we took together in undergrad, in astronomy. You remember taking astronomy?
I do.
And we did talk about aliens, and I feel like when students ask about aliens, because we talk about space all the time, so it's inevitable that kids are going to ask about aliens, and defining what an alien is definitely the first step. But I think what people say or what kids say when you say alien is they're talking about sentient life, like us, humanoids or something with a brain. So that's usually where we get to real fast, and then we have to figure out, okay, well, what do we do with that? So, what do you do with that? Do human-like, communicative
Hmm.
aliens exist, Natasha? What would you do?
Well, there is no evidence that they exist as far as I'm aware, unless there is a top secret vault of information that I do not have access to, unless you're about to enlighten me on some high level things that I should know about. But I'm one of those, like, my responses until the evidence shows me, I have no idea if it's out there or not.
So how do we collect that evidence? So if there is evidence out there, we would have to first figure out how to collect it, right?
True.
Which is what I
So,
talk
like,
to my
radio
students.
waves and, like, the SETI, it's like that
Uh-huh.
institute that has, like, the big antenna and is always listening, and then it's, like, sending out signals, hoping somebody will respond.
The search for extraterrestrial
There you
intelligence, I
go.
think that's what
Yeah.
SETI
Yeah.
stands for. Yeah. So SETI was trying to figure out what to do if they were to get data or how much they should be looking for it or a way to organize this question of is there life out there? And so there was actually a conference in 1961 and some guy came up with a way to organize our thoughts and possibility of there being intelligent life out there. And he did it by proposing an equation. Do you remember this equation?
Oh, yeah. I have forgotten the equation. Tell me.
Do you remember the guy's name that came up with the equation?
No.
It's the Drake equation.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay.
So this is what I love to share with students because when they ask about aliens, I said there's actually an equation, and let's talk about what that is and why it's important to have an equation. And it's to collect data because you want to figure out the probability of there being life out there. So the Drake equation has its N, which is the number of detectable civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy, because that's really the extent of what was available in the 60s, is to reach out to the Milky Way, which is our galaxy. So N equals R, which is the rate at which stars are born, times F sub P, which is the fraction of stars that host planets, times N sub E, which is the number of habitable planets per planetary system. So that'd be like in the Goldilocks zone, like Earth in the perfect spot in its solar system, times F sub I, which is the fraction of those planets on which life occurs, times F sub, oh, that's F sub L, then times F sub I, the fraction of life that evolves intelligence, times F sub C, the fraction of intelligent life that develops communicative technologies. So you have to have all these things work out, right? Times L, which is the average length of time civilizations are detectable. Do you happen to know any of those numbers for those variables?
Off the top of my head, no.
Yeah. How often have you thought about the numbers for those
The
variables?
length of civilization for which it is detectable. That's an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot. Uh, so in this conference, which was, I think, a very casual conference, there's only like a dozen people that were there, but really prominent scientists and engineers. They determined that the first six variables, which is like the number of planets and the number of planets that were in the habitable zone that might have intelligent life, all of that equals about one. They just thought, well, that's those fractions, we could just say it all is about one. And then the average length of time civilizations are detectable. That's the L, that's the last term on there. So one times however long a civilization is on its planet, which if you're really pessimistic and you want to think about like Earth, how long are humans on Earth? You could be like, just a couple more years, you know? So,
Right.
so then there's two civilizations out in the Milky Way that are detectable. But Drake said he thought it was about 10,000. Humans are around for about 10,000 years, probably true of whatever intelligent life could be out there. And therefore, the number of detectable civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy is about 10,000. Now, you'd have to figure out how to get to them, though. So, this was telling SETI, okay, you're going to need to search for the 10,000 civilizations that might be out there. Like, how do you figure out where to point your little satellite dishes, and what do we need to do to communicate to them? And why is this important? And this is where my students are like, so what do we do with this information?
Right.
And then we usually do a debate. So when you've talked in classrooms about aliens, you've done debates before, haven't you?
Right. Yes.
Are they on about civilizations on other planets?
The debate we had was more about defining if it counts as life. And so that was kind of a
Okay.
different angle to it. So it sounds like, is yours more about debating whether we should be searching for life or like how to search for life? Is it worth searching for life? Is that where that's going?
I think that you can take so many different standpoints on this because there's more. I'm going to take you down a rabbit hole, a quick one that I usually go down with my students. And I just want to see where you stand on this because I can tell that you're really into it and you've thought about this a lot. Just kidding.
Clearly.
Okay, so thinking through that equation, you normally get to like, are you pessimistic or optimistic about there being other intelligent life out there? Because this equation kind of breaks down to like, well, could we even talk to them? Would it even matter? could we even like get there? Because that'd be really far away. And if there's only 10,000, there's so much space out there. So enter the Fermi paradox. Have you ever heard of Fermi paradox?
Vaguely. Tell me
I
more.
don't remember studying this, but maybe we did. So it's the contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial civilizations existing. So, like saying, hey, there's a lot of space out there. There's probably other intelligent life. There's all these other solar systems, all these other planets that are likely to have the same situation that Earth does. There's probably a lot of alien situations or civilizations. But the contradiction between that and the lack of evidence, like what you were talking about, is the Fermi paradox. So, if the universe is so vast and so old, why have we not detected any signs of intelligent life? And then there's like a whole bunch of answers to that can go from, well, space is just really big. It's just really hard to look, we know where to look and where it is, to, well, because the aliens don't want to be detected and they're out to get us. And so it's just a matter of time before they direct their laser at us. That's why we haven't detected anybody else. They're slowly eliminating each other.
Oh gosh.
So there's the debates that we have in the classroom about what the answer to Fermi paradox and what is more probable. And I imagine there's a bunch of really smart people that sit in a business meeting and actually talk about these things to try to figure out what to do. And that blows my mind, because how do you approach that scientifically? I don't know. But there's one guy who did have some thoughts. Have you heard of a von Neumann probe?
Tell me more. What is it probing? What are we looking for?
Okay, it's a theoretical, self-replicating spacecraft designed to explore and colonize space. So there was a mathematician named John von Neumann, and he believed that if we wanted to have interstellar travel, we needed to be able to self-replicate whatever the probe is that we sent out. Like, it's not going to survive a long trip. So it needs to get to a point and then be able to build another one of itself to continue on.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Can you think of an example of a von Neumann probe? Not one that travels in space, but maybe one that's here on our planet.
Of like a physical thing?
Self-replicating.
All I can think of is like AI.
Oh, yeah. It'd probably have to have some sort of AI, or maybe just without the A.
Yeah, like wait, what?
I think we are a von Neumann probe, aren't we? Because we self-replicate. Kind of. Not exactly. We're not
Wait,
cloning.
what do you mean?
If we want humans to continue existence, we make more
Oh, I see
humans.
what you're saying. Yeah, I got you.
So, yeah, but they're trying to do this like with machines, which I think is really interesting. And now that we have AI, because I don't know what year did this guy, I don't know, figure this out. He died in 57. So von Neumann must have figured this out before then. This is way before AI, obviously. So that's a pretty big idea. Having something capable of creating copies of itself and spreading throughout the galaxy. So that might be
That's
the
like a whole
next
sci-fi
career.
movie right there.
But we're there. I mean, AI is sci-fi.
Because now
Right?
it's like AGI is what I hear, which is like artificial generative intelligence.
Oh, yeah. One step closer. It just needs to be able to go and utilize the resources that are on another celestial body and build itself again. And
So
then
then is the machine itself alive? Because it has
depends on
like
what you
so many characteristics, right? So we're back to the beginning of like, what is it to be
uh-huh.
alive? because if you
Yeah.
can reproduce, essentially, weird.
Mhm. Yeah, so these things, well, I think at first when a student asks the question, "Are aliens out there?" sounds like something you should easily dismiss, but I feel like there's so many opportunities to utilize science and the scientific method and thinking through, well, what do you know about living and non-living? And that's a
Right.
science standard somewhere. But just thinking about all these different possibilities and why it matters that we define these things. It's because there's some questions out there. If we want to explore the galaxy, we got to figure out all these other things, and there's like moral implications, I'm sure. Uh, so I'm going to end with this thought because I know we're about out of time. So going deeper with this von Neumann probe, there's another hypothesis called the Berserker hypothesis. And it's kind of an answer to Fermi's paradox about, if we have all this space and there's potentially all these places where aliens could be, why have we never detected them? The Berserker hypothesis says that all potential alien civilizations have been eradicated by uncontrollable self-replicating space probes known as Berserker probes. So that's
I need
saying
more coffee for this
some
episode.
this is listen to this right before you go to bed.
Exactly.
Um, but it's interesting to think about, especially for students who are using ChatGPT all the time and AI, like you're feeding it information. What if we then utilize AI to create these von Neumann probes that are self-replicating? And there's an error that happens within this replication process, just like normal genetic mutations
Mhm.
happen in humans. I imagine there's some sort of mechanical mutation or computational mutation that happens,
Weird.
probably,
Yeah.
and it goes wrong. And then you've got this lethal berserker probe out there that's not just searching for intelligent life, but seeking to destroy.
Well, let me bring this to a positive close. There is a Vivify product all about search for life. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Tell me more. Is there a berserker
It's
probe
a
involved?
No, it's a very different approach to this discussion. It is the Astro Rover lesson developed by Christina on our Vivify team. And her students had a similar question about, like, how do we search for aliens? Are there aliens? So this unit is looking at, I guess, some sorts of probes, right? But it's focused on rovers and how they collect data to determine if there is life on other planets. And then the lesson also talks about which planets should we go to, which are like most likely to have life on them. So a related side quest there on this topic.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the natural way that you should go as students is saying, well, yeah, we've talked about these big picture things of going out into the Milky Way and trying to figure out where could there be life, but we don't have the answers to all of those variables in the Drake equation. But we do have a lot of knowledge about things in our own solar system. And that's what scientists are trying to figure out right now. But they don't just have to guess at, is there probably life in this ocean world on Titan or Enceladus? They've actually built things to go and test this out. And the students that you're teaching right now are likely have the opportunity to be involved in some of these missions that may find life. So I think that is a fantastic project. It's new, so I haven't gotten to do it with my students yet, but I hope that in the future I'll get to see some kids that it might spark their interest, especially the ones asking about aliens. They could find some aliens out there. Not the
Mhm.
intelligent ones, likely, but I don't know, maybe.
Right. Right.
All right. Well, thank you, Natasha, for letting me stress you out with all of this
Is
talk
our
about
friendship
aliens.
closer? Did I pass the test?
I think we leveled up here. I think we at least get like a star or
Okay.
badge, maybe an alien badge. I'll send one to you in the mail.
Sweet. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, for now, STEM space out.